Welcome to our cottage ways. This is my cottage kitchen. I'm so happy you're here today. It is a rainy, wet day here in Tennessee. And so I thought, what better food to prepare than the hearty, comforting soup. The soup we're going to prepare today is from a very well-known restaurant. It starts with an O, ends with garden. I have come up with my own version of Tuscan ZUPPA. Follow along. It's a super easy recipe, so let's get started. I have some fresh kale here today. The recipe will be here in the body of the video. I will try to link it if I can figure out how to do it. I'm going to start by chopping 2 heads of kale, and I know that sounds like a lot, but when it goes into our soup, it's going to kind of shrink down and wilt. It won't seem like this much. And it doesn't give it a lot of flavor, but it does make it a little bit healthier for us. And I'm just going to start by taking off the ends, but we're just going to do a rough chop. Not huge pieces. You'll see that I've cut it into pretty small pieces here. As I've shown you in a couple of my other videos, we're also going to be going over some knife skills. You'll notice as I cut this, I'm grabbing it so that I can take control over it, keeping the tip of my knife on the board, and then I'm doing a rocking motion as I move the knife closer. I've got a bowl nearby that I'm going to dump this in to keep it off the cutting board. And it's kind of like wrangling kids or puppies, but it's kale. So we're gonna put that in a bowl and set it aside. It adds a fresh element. You can also use spinach if you don't like kale. Sometimes I even throw both in if I don't have enough of either one. Cut those ends off, throw them to my chickens later. And it is raining pretty good out here today, and you might even hear Luke, our rooster, if you listen real carefully. You could also buy the packaged kale that is already cut up. Find that this is a fresher choice, and sometimes those bags aren't so fresh. And that looks like a lot of kale, but you'll see it really shrinks down to nothing. Wipe our counter off a little bit and get ready for the potatoes. So you'll notice that this recipe calls for a red potato, but you can use basically any potato you have on hand in your kitchen. I'm doing a red potato. And I want this to be more of a rustic soup, so I'm not gonna peel them, but they have been washed thoroughly. And we're going to start by cutting all of our potatoes in half and then laying them cut side down. When I lay them cut side down, it's keeping them from being able to roll on my cutting board. Once you cut it and you lay it down, now it's just flat and it's not going to wobble all over your surface. And as I get a little closer, you can see that if they're larger, I'm going to cut them in half again because I want to get these all in pretty equal sizes, just so they cook evenly and they cook at the same time, because you don't want one bite of potato being done and another bite not being done. You can see they're all about the same size. One trick is that if you're always cutting in half, it makes the job a lot easier. If I cut in half, then half again, I'm not having to keep track of how even my cuts are. Just basically cutting in half and then cutting in half again. And I'm gonna add these to my kale bowl. Ooh, there's a little bit of thunder. I started with 8 or 9 potatoes. This soup will feed about 8 servings. And you could even prep your kale and your potatoes ahead of time, keep them in a storage container in your fridge, and do some of the other elements ahead when you have 5 or 10 minutes here or there. Throw it all in and have dinner in about 20 minutes. Okay, in a separate bowl, I'm going to chop an onion, because the onion we just want in nice bite-sized pieces. Ooh, more thunder. have cut the ends off the onion, and then I also cut it in half, and it just makes it super easy to peel. And because the onions have so many layers, I only have to cut it a couple of times to get the chop that I want. These are perfect size for soup. Keeping the tip of my knife on the cutting board and rocking back and forth until it's all done. Doesn't matter. Voila, one onion. Next, crush a couple of cloves of garlic. And garlic is the epitome of Italian cooking. You can see here that the garlic cloves are attached at the bottom. This used to be a whole head, and now it's about a quarter of a head. I'm gonna cut this piece off, and then all of those little cloves just release. It's gonna make it a little easier to peel, but I'm just using the heel of my palm and smashing them, and you can see that the skin just removed very easily. This is the cutest little garlic keeper. I've had it for a little bit. It actually came from my dad, so it's real special to me. So I'm going to do a pretty fine chop on these, and when you cut the garlic, it actually releases the oils and the juices from them. If I were to throw these cloves in whole, I would not get as much flavor. I'm gonna leave that here on my cutting board. I could just easily throw my garlic into this bowl, but the garlic cooks a lot quicker than the onion. So I'm going to add the onion first to my pot and then add the garlic and only let that cook for maybe a minute. And so we've got our potato and kale, our one chopped onion, and 5 cloves of garlic. Okay, let's go to the stove. We're starting off with 8 links of hot and mild Italian sausage. And I've gone ahead and gotten all the casing off of all of these just to save you time from having to watch that. Take some scissors and snip it down the middle, and the casing comes off really easily. We're going to start about a medium heat, and I've got a heavy stock pot here. I have a loved one who just had surgery today. So I just got word that everything is well. We're praying for a smooth recovery, quick and speedy recovery. But I am going to take this soup over to them. What could be better than comfort soup? And I just want to make sure there's no pink left. Some of these bigger pieces. Now we're going to let it brown just a little bit more. The Italian sausage is rendering just a little bit of fat and grease, but it's not enough for us to remove. It has so much flavor in it that I really don't want to remove that. And you can hear the sizzle. I think it's looking really good. Smells delicious. I actually really love Italian sausage. A link or 2 you can add to ground beef for your spaghetti sauce. I highly recommend it. The packs of sausages I used came with 5 links each. So I've got 1 spicy Italian sausage and 1 mild. I'm gonna throw these in my freezer so that I have them when I'm making spaghetti sauce next. Okay. And then I'm gonna add just a little bit of olive oil. Half a stick of butter. I've just cut it up into thinner slices. Now I'm gonna throw in our whole diced onion. Oh my gosh, that onion is smelling so delicious. We're gonna add some cooked bacon bits. It's smelling so good, you guys. smell-o-vision. I wish it was a real thing. Next, we're gonna add our chopped garlic. It's already ready to go. Okay, so I only want that garlic to cook for about a minute. Next, I'm going to add 4 cups of chicken stock. And I really wanted you to see what happens when I add that. You see all that color? And it's because all of the drippings are down at the bottom of our pot. Now that just added a layer of flavor. It's just going to be so delicious. A chicken stock, organic brand called Better Than Bouillon. I'm wanting this to serve at least 8 people, so I've used about 12 cups of liquid. I'm gonna add just a pinch of sea salt. Our bacon and our sausage are already salty. We don't want to add too much salt. As we get closer, we'll adjust the seasoning. We're going to add our potatoes because they're going to take longer to cook. So I'm gonna just get all these potatoes out here. We're going to put our lid on and let this simmer for about 15 minutes to cook those potatoes all the way through. I'm going to fork test my potatoes and see how we're doing. I wonder if AI can come up with smell-o-vision. And I think we're definitely headed in that direction. Be careful when you take your lid off. You don't want to get burnt with the steam. I think we're going to go ahead and add our kale. Just looks like a lot. I'm going to press that down with my spatula. This is the coolest tool. This was a gift, but you can scrape out a bowl with it. You can saute. I'm just going to press this kale down into the liquid and let it get submerged by the liquid. Looks so delicious. I'll cover that up for another 3 to 5 minutes. There is a potato right on top. I want you to see the size of the potato. It's a perfect bite size, but it's also fork tender, exactly how we want it. It's hearty. It's a 1-pot dinner. I just want to taste some of this broth. Where are we at salt-wise? I think it's perfectly salted. I don't think it needs anything else but the half and half. I'm actually getting hot in this kitchen. Earlier I'm like, oh, I just want to be cozy, sweaters and soup. And now I'm basically sweating. Thank you, hormones. So we're gonna add just a touch of half and half. Okay, we're ready to dish this up. I am taking this to loved one, but I have to sample it, and it is lunchtime. That just makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Okay, guys, it's time to try it. It smells so good in here. This will keep up to 3 or 4 days in your fridge. So if you make a big pot and you don't have 8 people to feed yourself for 3 or 4 days. You don't have to cook. It's hearty, relatively healthy. If you wanted to cut out the butter, you could. If you wanted to make it with chicken sausage, which that would probably be really delicious. You can see it steaming. I'm real excited to try it. Oh my gosh. You guys, you have to try this. It's a little bit spicy. So if you wanted, you could add a little bit more half and half. Maybe even some sour cream. Delicious, full of flavor, all the layers. So good. The potatoes are perfect. This is such a delicious soup, but I really love that I can make it at home and I can share it with you. Thank you so much for joining me today. So excited to be able to share this recipe with you. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm gonna have lunch now. You go have lunch too, and make a pot of soup this week. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.